Hey guys, hope you're having a good day today. My name is Steve. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. So today, in honor of Remembrance Day and Veterans Day here in the US, I wanted to learn about World War I in some capacity. I really wasn't sure what topic I should explore, but then I realized I've never learned about the unknown warrior in the UK before. I've had a lot of people recommend that I check this out. I don't know anything about the history or the story of the unknown warrior. All I really know about the unknown warrior is that the tomb is located in Westminster Abbey. I've never really seen it really close up and really been able to read exactly what was on the tomb and whatnot, but I do remember kind of seeing it in passing or kind of from a distance. It really didn't go into detail about it on a video I did about Westminster Abbey. But ever since I saw that video, I've been really interested in actually diving in and exploring the story of the unknown warrior itself. So I think out of all days I could pick to react to the unknown warrior, I think today is probably the most fitting. Anyways, guys, before we get started, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all the veterans out there. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for all the sacrifices that you and your families have made in order to keep us safe and ultimately free. My family and I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you, no matter what country you're from, whether you're from the US or the UK, or you're from Canada or Ireland or any European nation or Australia or New Zealand. You know, you have signed up to protect your nation and to ultimately keep the values of freedom alive that we enjoy in all these Western nations. And so we all owe you a debt of gratitude. And on Remembrance Day and Veterans Day, it is the perfect time to say thank you for your service and your sacrifice, and to remember what you and the people that have come before you have done in the past to protect these values that we all hold dear today.
On November the 7th, 1920, in the strictest secrecy, 4 unidentified British bodies were exhumed from temporary battlefield cemeteries at Ypres, Arras, the Aisne and the Somme, and placed in 4 plain coffins, each covered with a Union flag. None of the soldiers who did the digging were told why. The bodies were taken by field ambulance to the general headquarters at Saint-Paul-sur-Tenoise, and once there the coffins were draped with the Union flag. Sentries were posted, and Brigadier General Wyatt closed his eyes and, moving between the coffins, selected one at random. The other 3 were reburied. A French honour guard was selected from the 8th Infantry, who had recently been awarded the Légion d'honneur en masse, and they stood vigil by the coffin of the chosen soldier overnight. On the morning of the 8th of November, a specially designed oaken coffin made from trees cut from the grounds of Hampton Court Palace arrived, and the unknown soldier was placed inside.
Wow. So this is original footage that we just saw. Wow. There's not much to say. That's just wow.
The casket was banded with iron, and a medieval crusader's sword, chosen personally by King George V from the royal collection, was fixed on top and surmounted by an iron shield bearing the inscription, "A British warrior who fell in the Great War 1914 to 1918 for king and country." The casket was then placed onto a French military wagon drawn by 6 black horses. Then the mile-long procession, led by 1,000 local schoolchildren and escorted by a division of French troops, made its way down to the harbour, to the sound of the Boulogne church bells, the massed trumpets of the French cavalry, and the bugles of the French infantry.
Oh, wow. So these were 1,000 French children following the body of an unknown British soldier. Wow. That to me is just so moving, man. The respect there is just so amazing. I love that.
There he was saluted by Marshal Foch and carefully carried up the gangway of the destroyer HMS Verdun, bound for Dover, and piped aboard to an admiral's call. The coffin stood on the deck, covered in wreaths, surrounded by the French honour guard. HMS Verdun slipped anchor just before noon, and escorted by 6 battleships, set sail for England. As they passed Dover Castle, the flotilla received a 19-gun Field Marshal's salute. Upon arrival at the docks, the body was placed on a special train in van number 132, which had previously carried the bodies of the beloved nurse Edith Cavell, who had helped 200 Allied prisoners escape from German-occupied Belgium and who was executed by a German firing squad, and Charles Fryatt, a civilian merchant navy captain who was also executed for attempting to ram a U-boat despite being a civilian non-combatant. The train remained at Victoria Station in London overnight, and a plaque still marks the spot between platforms 8 and 9 where every year a small remembrance service takes place.
Oh, wow.
On the morning of the 11th of November 1920.
So, guys, that plaque is still there today in London at that exact spot? Wow. And so on Remembrance Day, every year, that is a spot that there is a small remembrance as well.
The casket was placed onto a gun carriage of the Royal Horse Artillery and drawn by 6 horses through immense and silent crowds. As the cortege set off, a further Field Marshal salute was fired in Hyde Park. The route followed was past Hyde Park Corner, the Mall, and into Whitehall, where the cenotaph, a symbolic empty tomb, was unveiled by King Emperor George V. The cortege was then followed by the King, the royal family, and ministers of state to Westminster Abbey, where the casket was borne into the west nave of the Abbey, flanked by a guard of honour of 100 recipients of the Victoria Cross, the highest bravery award that can be bestowed on a member of the British Armed Forces.
Wow.
The idea of the unknown soldier came to an army chaplain, David Railton, who had served on the front line during the Great War. He had seen a grave marked by a rough cross while serving on the Western Front, which bore the pencil-written legend, "An unknown British soldier." In his own words, "How that grave caused me to think. But who was he? And who were they, his folk?" There was no answer to those questions, nor has there ever been yet. So I thought, and wrestled in thought. What can I do to ease the pain of the father, mother, brother, sister, sweetheart, wife and friend? Quietly and gradually there came out of the mist of thought this answer, clear and strong. Let this body, this symbol of him, be carried reverently over the sea to his native land. And I was happy for a few minutes. He suggested the nation should have a symbolic funeral and burial of an unknown warrior, proposing that the grave should include a national monument. The idea received the support of the Dean of Westminster, Prime Minister David Lloyd George, and later from King George V.
So this monument, I've never seen it on any videos, I don't think. I'm guessing it's still there. Obviously, that is not where the tomb itself is. This is a monument right here to represent all the fallen soldiers, right? And then the tomb is of the unknown warriors actually in Westminster Abbey, correct?
Responding to a wave of public support. The coffin was then interred in the far western end of the nave of Westminster Abbey, only a few feet from the entrance, in soil bought from each of the main battlefields and covered with a silk pall.
For king and country.
Servicemen from the armed forces stood guard as tens of thousands of mourners filed silently past. The guests of honour were a group of about 100 women. They had been chosen because they had each lost their husband all their sons in the war. The grave was then capped with a black Belgian marble stone, and is the only tombstone in the abbey upon which it is forbidden to walk. It features an inscription engraved on brass from ammunition that had been melted down.
Wow.
Beneath this stone rests the body of a British warrior, unknown by name or rank, brought from France to lie among the most illustrious of the land, and buried here on Armistice Day, 11th of November 1920, in the presence of His Majesty King George V, his ministers of state, the chiefs of his forces, and a vast concourse of the nation. Thus are commemorated the many multitudes who, during the Great War of 1914 to 1918, gave the most that man can give, life itself, for God, for king and country, for loved ones, home and empire, for the sacred cause of justice and the freedom of the world. They buried him among the kings, because he has done good towards God and towards his house.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's such a beautiful, that's so beautiful, man. Wow. What a beautiful tribute. I mean, wow. Here's the poppies. I saw this last year. It was such a eye-opening thing to see, knowing all those poppies represent a fallen soldier. That's just, it's insane. I mean, all those lives lost, man. Every one of them gave up their lives. I mean, when you really look at that and you realize what that represents, it's just hard to fathom. I mean, each of these were generally one young man, you know. They were, some cases, like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they gave up their lives for freedom and to protect their nation. It's just, it's a powerful, powerful thing to see, man.
So it is at this time we remember those who died during the Great War and every conflict since by wearing a red poppy. The Remembrance poppy was inspired by the Canadian physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCree in Flanders Field, with the immortal lines, "In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row." So at 11 a.m. on the 11th of November each year, we remember with humility the great and ultimate sacrifices that were made, not just in this war, but in every war and conflict where our service personnel have fought. to ensure the liberty and freedoms we now take for granted.
Shall not grow old. They should grow not old as we that are left grow old. We shall not rule them.
At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Wow, guys, this is a powerful video, man, and I pretty much, that's what I thought the Unknown Warrior represented. You know, it represented all the fallen soldiers that couldn't be brought back, the ones that don't have a name on their grave. They don't know who they are, and they can't. This one unknown soldier was brought back to represent all of them, and to, I guess at that point in time, it also gave some form of closure to the wives and the parents and the families of all the unknown dead from the First World War. This was really powerful, guys. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.